A stone can preserve its shape for 1,000 years, meaning is more fragile. In southern Costa Rica, massive stone spheres still survive, some so carefully shaped that their roundness seems almost modern. Yet no known account from their makers has been recovered to explain why these objects were created, who was meant to see them, or what message their positions once carried. That is the first distinction this mystery demands. The stone survived. The explanation did not. The spheres came to wider archaeological attention during the expansion of banana plantations in the 20th century. Machines cut drainage channels through the lowlands of the Diquís Delta. Buried structures, artifacts, and stone spheres emerged from the soil. Archaeologists began documenting sites that had been hidden beneath layers of alluvial sediment. But exposure was not the same as preservation. Agricultural work altered ancient ground surfaces. Looters searched for valuable objects. Spheres were dragged away and placed in gardens, civic spaces, and private collections. Some survived as impressive ancient objects while losing the evidence that explained where they had stood. Modern development did not simply reveal the mystery, it also helped make the mystery harder to solve. To understand the spheres, we have to stop imagining them alone. The UNESCO World Heritage Property contains 4 archaeological components: Finca 6, Batambal, El Silencio, and Grijalba II. Together, they preserve parts of a settlement system dating broadly from about 500 to 1500 CE. These were inhabited landscapes. Archaeologists have found artificial mounds, ramps, paved areas, open spaces, dense deposits of pottery, and funerary structures. Rivers connected communities to farmland, raw materials, and wider exchange networks. The settlement pattern also suggests hierarchy. Some centers were larger and more complex than others. Finca 6 is interpreted as a principal center. Grijalba II represents a smaller subordinate one. This was not a landscape of isolated stones left by an unknowable people. It was a landscape organized by human communities capable of building, exchanging, producing, and coordinating work on a large scale. The spheres are not all identical. Official records describe examples ranging from less than a meter to about 2.5 meters in diameter. Most were made from hard, igneous rock such as gabbro or granodiorite, while some were shaped from sandstone or limestone. Their size, finish, material grouping, and archaeological associations vary. At El Silencio, the largest recorded example is about 2.57 meters across. ICOMOS estimated its weight at roughly 24 tons. The spheres are often described as perfect. That word needs discipline. Many are remarkably regular and carefully finished. But heritage praise is not the same as a modern precision survey, proving that every sphere is mathematically flawless. Their real achievement does not depend on exaggeration. Even without claims of impossible accuracy, the scale and control of the stonework are extraordinary. Archaeology does not require lost machines to explain how people shaped the spheres. The broad reconstruction begins with suitable stone. Workers could strike and peck the surface with harder stone tools, gradually removing high points and building a rounded form. Grinding, abrasion, and repeated finishing could then smooth the surface. That description is plausible, but it is not a complete, recovered instruction manual. Researchers still debate where rough shaping occurred, whether final finishing took place near the destination, how long the work required, and how production teams were organized. Different stones and different sizes may also have demanded different sequences. so the false mystery begins to fall away. Human manufacture is not impossible, but a more important question takes its place. A sphere of this scale required more than the hands of a skilled stoneworker. It required time, food, tools, planning, and a society willing or able to support the work. Shaping the stone was only part of the problem. At least some raw material had to be moved from its source toward a settlement. For the largest spheres, that meant controlling a mass of many tons across a wet, tropical landscape cut by rivers and uneven ground. Possible methods can be imagined: prepared routes, timber supports, coordinated hauling, or movement by water. But no single reconstruction has been demonstrated as the universal historical method. What could be said with greater confidence is social. Moving and placing monumental stone would have required coordination. People had to be assembled, provisioned, directed, and kept working toward a shared result. That organization may have reflected chiefly authority, reciprocal communal labor, ceremonial obligation, collective identity, or some combination that changed from place to place. The deeper achievement was not a secret machine. It was the ability to organize people around a monument. Finca 6 preserves the clearest surviving path toward meaning because some spheres remain in situ in their original archaeological positions. 5 spheres form 2 alignments in a plaza-like open area. The lines run broadly east to west. Around them were mounds, ramps, paving, artifact concentrations, and funerary evidence belonging to a larger settlement. That setting changes the question. A sphere was not only a shape, it occupied a route, a line of sight, and a social space. It could face an entrance, mark an open area, frame movement, or announce the importance of the people who controlled the center. The 4 protected sites preserve different pieces of this larger system. Batumbal occupied an elevated and visible location. El Silencio preserves the largest recorded sphere. Grijalba 2 helps archaeologists model a subordinate center. Finca 6 preserves the rare alignments that allow spatial interpretation. The strongest clue is not roundness alone. It is placement. What then did the spheres communicate? The strongest interpretations begin with the settlements around them. Archaeologists have proposed that at least some spheres materialize power, authority, status, and collective or ethnic identity. A large, carefully finished object in a public setting could demonstrate access to skilled labor and the capacity to coordinate people and resources. Other possibilities remain open. Some spheres may have marked territories or boundaries. Some may have participated in ceremonies, memory, seasonal activity, or agricultural cycles. Different arrangements may have served different purposes. The east-west lines at Finca 6 also encouraged researchers to test possible celestial associations. But the field observations were limited and preliminary. The investigators did not establish a concrete astronomical system. That distinction matters. A tested hypothesis is not a discovered calendar. An approximate orientation is not an encoded map of the solar system. The evidence allows the possibility of celestial reference to remain open. It does not allow the documentary to announce that the sky has been decoded in stone. Now the mystery reverses. Imagine an authentic ancient sphere standing in a modern garden. The stone may still be real, its surface may still preserve traces of ancient work, its material may still be studied, but the object is no longer complete archaeological evidence. Once moved, it may lose its original orientation, its relationship to a mound, ramp, entrance, burial, or neighboring sphere, becomes uncertain. Archaeologists can no longer see who approached it, whether it was publicly visible, which building it belonged to, or whether it was placed before or after another feature. Historical plans and photographs can sometimes recover part of that information. They cannot restore every disturbed layer or every lost association. This is the documentary's central correction. Part of the surviving mystery is not proof that the makers possessed unknowable powers. Part of it is the consequence of evidence being displaced, damaged, or destroyed after the spheres were exposed. The ancient question remains difficult because the modern world removed some of the clues. Archaeology can now say more than the popular mystery usually admits. The spheres were made by pre-Columbian societies of the Diquís region. Plausible human methods exist for shaping them. Their production and movement reveal skilled labor and the capacity to organize people, materials, and time. Their original placements connect them to settlements, public spaces, hierarchy, and displays of authority or identity. But archaeology cannot recover a single final translation. Not every sphere had to mean the same thing. The exact purpose of an individual arrangement may remain uncertain. Some production and transport details are still unresolved. Possible celestial associations have not been verified as a complete system. And for many relocated spheres, the strongest evidence, their original context, is gone. That is not a failure that invites fantasy. It is a boundary the evidence requires us to respect. The deepest mystery was never whether human beings could make a sphere. It is what those spheres communicated when they still stood inside living communities, and how much of that message disappeared when the landscape around them was broken apart. The stone endured. The explanation did not.